Hi, hello, welcome back to another Onkruid video. Welcome back to part 5 of this Diablo adventure, where we are going to be trying out our updated speed rift build. Normally, we should be able to clear out level 100s pretty damn fast. Greater Rift tier 100, that's what I mean. But we need to play a bit more mindful, I think. We need to use what is in our arsenal, actually. Use our potion a bit more often. Make sure that our discipline is always topped off. It's going to be a bit more difficult to get used to at first, but I think once we get used to this build, we are going to be able to do a lot more damage, actually. And by now, it's already looking kind of fine. The only problem is like this resource management. I am so used to not having to do that now that it's quite hard to make the switch. I think we will be able to do it. This is the build that the original build creator, Rujo, was able to achieve a sub 3 minute, or maybe by now even a sub minute level 100 run on, which is absolutely mind-boggling. But I am already noticing how insanely fast we are actually clearing out these areas. Because you have to keep in mind that Greater Rift Floor 100 or tier 100 really is no joke. It's not like the endgame, but it's also definitely not the mid-game anymore. It's definitely endgame. If Marvel would make a movie about this would be like Endgame 2, I think. Or maybe Endgame 1.5. Greater Rift 150, that's the endgame. That's Endgame X, the Reckoning. The Return of the Jedi King. Absolutely. Because Marvel doesn't need to take into account copyright laws, right? Because, well, they're Marvel. They have Paul Rudd, they have Robert Downey Jr., they have all the best actors in the world. I don't think those are some of the best actors in the world, although I can really appreciate a Paul Rudd on my screen. That was an insanely fast Greater Rift. Alright. What is the goal for this video? What are we working towards? First of all, getting this gem to level 100 would be nice. Please. One more. Nice. Alright. But now we still need a goal. We kind of have most of the things we need already. This. We forgot to change the actual cubed item in this build. It has to be Fury. This is right? Yeah, Pride's Fall is right. Save the build, and that means that we can go even faster than we were already going, I think. Normally the town is lava and I shouldn't spend that much time here, but for now I'm going to quickly just take a second. A new transmog A. Very interesting. Nope. Don't have to keep repeating that because I can't edit this part out. So if I'm annoying like that and I keep repeating the word nope, you guys are gonna have to sit through that, and that's not what I want. What have I been doing so far today? Thank you very much for asking. I have worked today already. I've seen 2 clients. One client who is an immigrant and he is kind of working through some of the impact that those experiences as an immigrant in their fleeing to Belgium, for example, had on his life and have on his life today. With today's session, special emphasis on relationships and the impact on relationships that it had, and that just some of the relationships he had in his life already up until this point had. It was a very interesting session, productive session as well. He was open, he was clear-minded, he knew beforehand what he wanted to talk about, and that was a lot of fun for me. And that's not to say that every session needs to be well thought out beforehand, especially not on the client side. Most of the time, them not knowing what they are going to talk about is maybe a bit more productive even. Because then the most random subjects can come up, and the things can come up that are really bothering them or just living inside their mind rent-free at the moment. Those are the things that really most of the time get the most benefit from getting looked at in therapy. Because things that happened a long time in the past already, like for example just your relationship to your parents and stuff, for most people those are things that you have already thought about once or twice earlier in your life, even if you're not completely in the context of like going to therapy and caring about mental health. I think everybody kind of has some experiences related to the relationship with their parents that they might be dealing with, or that they might have just talked about with someone already, thought about on their own. It's just a subject that has come up in your own mental monologue, which apparently not everybody has. An article appeared in one of the Dutch newspapers a while back that apparently not everybody has an internal monologue. That's pretty crazy to me, but that's like the standpoint you always have when it's known that some people experience something and you're not one of those some people. You feel like the other people are crazy. Not to say crazy, maybe that's a bit too harsh of a word, but I'm just wondering, like, how do you think then, right? How do you think if you're not constantly thinking in terms of an internal monologue? It's quite hard to grasp for me. Our goal, by the way, is Paragon level 135. That's what we're headed for today. I'm gonna up the ante a little bit, go to level 105. Do you guys hear your own voice in your head, or do you hear the voice of someone you know or someone else? I think most people will probably hear their own voice, right? Come to think of it. I think I hear my own voice. Yeah, I think that's probably my own voice. And then again, do you hear your own voice as you hear yourself say it, or do you hear your own voice as others might hear it? Probably as you hear yourself say it. And if you're now thinking like, wait, what's the difference between those two? I have some groundbreaking news for you. If you record yourself and you then listen to that again, it is very much different from what you normally hear yourself talk about, or from how you normally hear yourself talk. Because when you are talking yourself, the noise gets distorted quite a lot because of the processes that happen throughout the entirety of your brain. It's not just the sound that you produce externally that you hear. No, the vibrations also just travel throughout your head, throughout your skull, throughout the bones inside that old noggin of you, and that distorts the sound a little bit. That makes it different, and that's why most of the time you really dislike hearing yourself talk, because it just sounds different from what you're used to. Or this is at least how I have always understood it. Maybe somebody who studied about that kind of shit can tell me in the comments if I am completely wrong, but I think that there is at least something right about that point of view. What else have I been doing today? I've been, except for working. Oh, I only talked about my first client. Second client, girl recovering from an eating disorder, still having some trouble with her body image, with critique that she receives from people like her parents and her grandmother, and with like kind of whatchamacallit, eating in public, if you will, because she always is still very much comparing herself to others, comparing in a sense of like, am I eating more than them? Wait, they tell me that they already are full, but I have eaten like half of what they have eaten and I don't feel full at all. And those cognitions really dampen her mood and give her some struggles in social situations. As you can imagine, if you are constantly having to worry about what you are eating, what everybody else is eating, going to a restaurant with friends, for example, is kind of out of the question, because that's not going to be a pleasant experience for you at all. Which is very sad, because those are some of the most pleasant experiences in life, in my opinion. Going out for dinner with friends, or for drinks, or whatever. I guess being together with friends just in general. Connectedness, very important, of course. But it was a good session with her as well. Last time we really talked a lot about her relationship with her mother, because that was something that was living inside her mind rent-free at that moment. It was something she didn't necessarily think about talking about right from the start of our session, but it was something that happened throughout the last week, and she realized that it had quite a big impact on her, so that's why she wanted to talk about it there. And that was really a beneficial session. I don't know necessarily if we achieved great things or gave her new insights or crazy new things to realize about that relationship with her mother. Not that I found it a productive session in terms of that, but just in general, I really enjoyed that session. She was open as well. Open, light-hearted, open about things that she normally is not that open about, so that deserves a lot of recognition in my opinion. What else did I do today? Drank a little coffee with my girlfriend. Read a bit in my book. I'm reading a book on existential therapies by Mick Cooper. Long-term followers of the channel will be like, you have been reading that book for months already. Get your shit together, my man. Kind of true. Kind of true. Then again, shut the fuck up. I can read books on my own time, on my own speed, at my own pace. And you need to shut the hell up. You're just jealous because you are unable to read. I'm gonna go back to level 100. Level 105 was a bit too slow. Interesting book, Existential Therapies. Not the easiest book, that's for sure. I'm definitely struggling to get through it a little bit because it's so filled with names, filled with principles, filled with ideas. And most of those names are names that you kind of like have heard before, but you don't really know them. So you have to really pay attention to who said who. And normally that wouldn't really bother me, but since I have gotten more and more into going to trivia quizzes, I want to remember some quotes by some people. For example, Sartre, I believe, saying hell is other people, and I might be butchering it up already. I might be confusing things, putting quotes of one person on another person's name already, because as I said, it's quite hard for me to read that way. But I'm still getting a lot from it. I'm gaining a lot from it, learning a lot from it. It's just so goddamn interesting. Existential therapy is a branch of therapy that I really, really want to give later in life. I want to indulge in. This is going to be like one of the fastest rifts we have ever done, that I really want to indulge in because I find it so interesting. And I already gained some amazing insights. Holy shit, that was almost sub 2 minutes. Sub 1 minute? Damn. Some amazing insights into some of the misconceptions I had about this form of therapy. I thought of existential therapy as just talking about like those topics that connect all of us humans. Those topics like loss, like illness, like sickness, like choice, freedom, making a meaning of your life or finding meaning in your life according to some other existential philosophers. But we're gonna stay at 100, but 135 might be a bit too high. Either way. But that is what the essence, the essentialism approach is all about. Existential approaches are way more active, dynamic. They are way more about interacting with the world and about how the human plays an active role in the process of existing. Not just the general essential truths that, or Yalom's existential givens that connect us all. No, how we act upon those things, how we interact with them, how we live our life and leave our mark on the world concerning those themes. That's way more what existential therapy is all about. And it's one of the major insights I have had today while reading the book, and yesterday a little bit, just trying to read it a little bit every single day. And for now, it's mostly about different types of existential views, or more appropriately, different facets of how existential philosophers look at their branch of philosophy. And existential philosophy is the branch that sprouted, that gave birth to existential therapy. So we're kind of going back to basics before really exploring the world of existential therapy in and of itself, which is, I think, a very much a valid approach. You need to kind of know, for most of the therapy side of things, it helps a lot to know where it comes from, you know, what the primary adapters of those schools of therapy really thought about, what shaped them, what experiences prompted them to come up with the school of therapy that you want to study. Sometimes that is a way more adaptive approach, I think, than jumping straight into learning about techniques or about modern thinkers in the field, you know. Sticking to your roots for a second and going back to your roots, really exploring where it all came from. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. And then the book talked about things like existence, so what existential philosophy and existential therapy are concerned about: being unique, being limited, existence being limited as well. One of Yalom's existential givens is limitations, or well, the possibilities that life has, and sickness and illness taking away some of those possibilities. And in that limitedness, still making the choice to go for a valuable life. I think that's one of the greatest perspectives existential therapy and every and any kind of therapy should offer people. Like, sure, life is limited and that can be scary. You never know when it's gonna be your last day. That's why you should live every day as if it was your last day, which is a very cliche saying, but there is very much a truth to it. Or if you want to really summarize that saying, YOLO, right? One of my clients told me, like, this is gonna sound ridiculous, but YOLO, you only live once, is actually like my mantra. It's what I use to get through the day without anxiety. What I use to make kind of impulsive decisions that can align with my values, decisions that I would normally postpone or not make because I'm too afraid. I think to myself, YOLO, You only live once. I have to get this. I have to take this opportunity right now, but because I might never have it again. That's something she uses to take large decisions in her life, but also small decisions. Jesus Christ, small decisions. Decisions. Treasure chest. Bit of an inside joke for some of the long-term Onkruid viewers. One respect point if you got it, because that's a word that has been really bugging me since the Battle for Middle-earth days of this channel, which has been almost 4 years ago. Oh, that's a subject I can talk about after this. Or no, right now. I kind of finished off the previous subject either way, or in my mind at least. I think I was still in medias res about existential therapy and all that stuff, but I don't care. And about her using YOLO as a mantra, but I'll finish off by saying that I respected it very much. And I told her, like, you know, of course it sounds a bit ridiculous, YOLO. It sounds a bit like a meme, but in essence, it's an existential approach to life that is very, very much beneficial to you. It fosters appreciation of the little things in life, of all the small things, as Blink-182 likes us to believe, or would like us to believe, and of what Dirk de Wachter calls the small good. He calls it the small good because that's what Levinas called it, the French philosopher. The small things in life. And sometimes you have to live from a YOLO perspective, you know? Otherwise you will live a life in anxiety. Anxiety, fear, holding back, not doing anything. And that's not a life worth living, in my opinion. Although it's a life that I have often lived. But I'm trying to better myself on that front as well. YOLO a little bit sometimes. Do some things that you would normally say no to. Could be on the large scale, could be on the small scale. On the small scale, it's, for example, not telling my mom, no, I'm not going on a walk with you just because I'm reading a book or watching a YouTube video, but realizing, hey, what if something happens to my mom tomorrow? I will have so many regrets that I didn't just go on that walk with her today. And these YouTube videos and this book, they will exist for eternity. I can still watch them later in life, so go for that walk right now. And then one final remark. Yesterday we had a little bit of a team building exercise at work. One of the questions they asked was like, what is the hobby or the pastime you love the most in your life right now? You love investing time in the most and you really can't get enough of. And I told them, making this YouTube channel and making these YouTube videos gives me unconditional energy, whatever else is going on in my life. And it always just puts a smile on my face, which is also a great song by Fred. Again, go listen to it right now. That's your assignment for today. Onkruid signing off. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.